All right, let's talk about the Boys series finale and how it's super divisive among the community. In my opinion, I think it was a good series finale. I do not put it in the upper echelon of series finales. It's definitely not up there with Breaking Bad. It's definitely not up there with Better Call Saul. It's definitely not up there with other series finales that I simply can't think of right now. But I definitely don't think it's as bad as some series finales that we have gotten recently. Stranger Things, terrible, not a good series finale. The season set up to be pretty good, and then it just fell really flat at the end. I don't know what it was. They gave us this fucking dope ass kaiju in the Mind Flare or whatever his name is, and I was really fired up. And then he was on the screen for 2 minutes. I don't know where the budget went for that character or for that monster. They just forgot about him. The fight between Eleven and Vecna happened for literally 2 seconds. It was all the stuff that they were building up to just fell really flat, and that sucks. Game of Thrones is another series finale that people are really divisive on. I personally like the last season. I do not think that it's a great series finale by any means. I definitely think it's on the lower tier, especially considering the scale of the show. It was just not a good series finale. Leading up to it, I actually like the what's it called? The Long Dark episode or the Long Night or whatever it's called. The Long Dark might be a video game. I think it's a video game. I think it's called The Long Night. But when winter finally comes, right, and the White Walkers come in and they're fucking shit up, but you can't see shit because there's no light. And you're just squinting, trying to understand what you're trying to see. That is my only complaint. Besides that, the episode's pretty good. I definitely think the quality of show and the dialogue fell off towards the end of Game of Thrones, but I still really like it. I think the fight between Jon Snow and the Night King was super cool when they were on the dragons, but then Jon Snow should have fought the Night King with swords, but then they didn't, which was weird. And then they gave Bran the throne, which was weird. Anyways, let's talk about the boys. I think the boys had a weak final season considering how good of a show it was leading up to that, except season 4 was just okay. Another season that was just okay. Like, it didn't really knock my socks off. They definitely kind of fell flat compared to season 3, which is season 3 was just such a good season. My biggest complaint when talking about season 5, the final season, and the series finale is they felt as if they were just kind of putting stuff together. Soldier Boy, they were just setting up his show. That's all he was there for. And then to give Homelander the Gen V1 or the Gen V1, the V1, that's literally his only purpose. And they were setting up his show with Quinn and the Last of Us ripoff thing. It was, and I'm glad Huey said something. Spoilers, by the way. Spoilers. But so the V1, that was the purpose of Soldier Boy, was to give Homelander the V1, which was fine. Which was fine. It was just fine. But then they were just trying to set up his show with Bomb Sight in one of the episodes, and everyone was like, "Oh, who's Bomb Sight?" We'll find out in Vought Rising, which is cool. I'm actually really excited for that show. I don't like how they just threw him to the side in the last episode. It's as if they didn't know what to do with him, and they just were like, "All right, dude, get the fuck out of here." I think that there was a lot of different routes. First of all, let's talk about this. They completely threw away MM's arc, which was another gripe of mine. MM's arc was right next to Soldier Boy's arc because obviously MM had really, hated Soldier Boy. That was the point of MM becoming who he was. He did not like superheroes because of Soldier Boy. That was why MM sided with Butcher. And then they just threw that away. They didn't even, MM never brought it up, like, where the fuck did Soldier Boy go? No one brought it up. No one talked about it in the last episode. Oh, guys, maybe we should find out where Soldier Boy's at, since considering he just disappeared, and no one ever talked about that. Homelander had put him in the chamber, and that was it. We never heard from him again. You didn't even see him in the last episode and see where he went. That sucked. They gave Kimiko his power instead, which is fine. Like, Kimiko is a really fucking cool character, and I love that she was able to be the one to take out Homelander. I mean, obviously Butcher was, but they both were, like, and Ryan. That was cool. Kimiko was really cool. I just didn't like how it was so thrown together towards the end. Like, it was literally, even Sister Sage said, or did Sister Sage say it? Someone had said, so this is just your final Hail Mary long shot. And they go, yeah. I personally believe that you could have established that in episode 1 of season 5. If you establish them trying to get that at episode 1, it changes my perspective completely. They literally started establishing that episode 7, right before. And then I think Sister Sage had said, so you're going to try to do something that took other people 10 years. You're trying to do that in 2 days. And they go, yeah, that's pretty rough writing wise. You know what I mean? That's definitely a bit rushed. But then again, there is the argument to be made that Sister Sage is a super genius, and she was helping them, and she did help them do that by, changing some of the formulas up, which is fine because Sister Sage is the smartest person in the world. By the way, I love how they show her smarts. They show her as a master strategist. I fucking think that's so cool compared to actually in quantum physics, and then it's like the Marvel science, and you're trying to sit there you're sitting there trying to figure out what the fuck they're saying. Sister Sage she does not show her smarts that way. She shows her smarts through strategy. I think that's really cool. Yeah, she is science smart because obviously she did help them get Kimiko, Soldier Boy's power, which is cool. But I really like the way they show her smarts. That's off topic. Sister Sage is a really cool character, and I like how at the end she goes, I'm going to Harry Potter World, because real as fuck. Harry Potter World is sick. Anyway, I think that you could have had Kimiko, Soldier Boy, Ryan, and Butcher all fighting Homelander. And then you write Soldier Boy in the way where he's like, okay, I made a mistake giving Homelander the V1. Maybe I should take him out with them. I feel like I made a huge mistake. Maybe we could have seen the Homelander snap, because that's what the show was building up to, was the Homelander snap. I thought he was going to snap. He didn't. It's fine. It's not, you thought you were getting that the entire show. You're like, when is he going to snap? And he was starting to snap, but then they stopped him at the Oval Office. And all the posters, you're like, holy shit, this is going to be crazy. And then it was not that crazy. But it was a good series finale. This is just me, it's the little things, right? Overall, I really enjoyed it. But these are just some gripes that I have. I definitely think you could have thrown Soldier Boy into that spot to be like, holy shit, maybe I shouldn't have given Homelander the V1. Whatever. That would have been, to me, a little bit better than just throwing Kimiko the powers of Soldier Boy in like the last 2 seconds and saying, okay, guys, here you go. Kimiko has the power. Okay. That was kind of crazy. But overall, going into the season, I was saying one thing to my friend. I said, I want to see Homelander versus Butcher. If that happens, I'm okay. And it happened. And I was happy. It was a cool ass fight. It was super good. It was super well done. I'm glad that they showed the world that Homelander is not this tough ass villain that everyone thinks that he is. He is a whiny little bitch. He has been a whiny little bitch since episode 1. That is his character. Maybe he hasn't been since episode 1, but we've known for a long time that he's a fucking weird, whiny little bitch. At the core of the story is what happens if you give a weak man or a weak person all of that power. And then they become Homelander because they're so weak and they're so whiny and he's a little bitch. And I'm glad that they show that towards the end when he's like trying to fly away. He's like, and then he's like getting his ass beat by Butcher and he's like, stop. We see that he's not this badass. All he did was hide behind his powers. Shout out to the greatest meme source of all time, though. He has given us some iconic memes. So shout out to Anthony Starr because he did incredible throughout the show. He was such a good. He did such a good job of portraying him. It was fucking unreal what he did. Shout out to everyone in that show. They all did really, really great. I also am really happy that Huey and Starlight got their happy ending. And I would argue that Butcher got his happy ending, right? because what did I think had said it at the funeral. He goes, all he wanted to do was just lay next to Becca, and he got that. And I thought that was a really beautiful moment. Butcher, he wasn't going to stop, and that's why Huey had to stop him. I thought that he was going to let that bitch fly, and he was going to let the virus go. I would have been like, holy shit, that is insane way to end the show. I kind of fuck with it. Fucking crazy. It would have been fucking crazy to end it that way. And if they wrote it well, it would have been a really, really cool ending if it's written well and not if it didn't end so abruptly and then it's all of a sudden like, yeah, dude, it happened. But it would have been interesting to see that. But Huey stopped him, and I'm happy that Huey stopped him because it really was cool to see the happy ending. I was happy with the happy ending. Sometimes it's okay to, my voice just cracked. Sometimes it's okay to get that happy ending, and you're content with it. You know what I mean? It's better than trying to do something so fucking insane and then it's just not good because you're trying to figure out what the fuck is happening. But I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that Huey and Starlight got their happy ending, and I'm happy with that ending overall because at the end of the day, Huey was the main character, Huey and Butcher. Now that Butcher was gone, Huey became the main character, got his happy ending, and then, Starlight became a superhero, like she wanted to be, a real superhero, and they're having a kid. And it was really cool how they played Billy Joel at the end, and then they named the baby Robin. And I thought that was a really cool callback considering the show started with Huey's girlfriend literally getting smashed to pieces. Trying to think of everything that happened, and I think that was pretty good. It was I was content with that. I wouldn't say it knocked my socks off, but I definitely didn't think I was like, holy shit, that was ass. Like I said, all I wanted was a fight between Butcher and Homelander. And one more thing, what I really enjoy, like talking about with Homelander being a little bitch without his powers, the opposite is with Butcher. Butcher is not a little bitch without his powers or with powers. Butcher's a badass. Butcher is one of the coolest characters I've ever seen on TV because he's so just charismatic and insane. And he was cool as fuck. And it was sad to see him go, but I think they did his character justice towards the end. And I think that overall, yeah, 7 to 7.5. I'm pretty happy with that ending. And sometimes it's okay to be a little predictable because I'm content with that ending. I think it could have been a lot better. I think there's a couple loose ends that they could have tied up. They didn't. Maybe they will in Vought Rising. We'll see. But overall, it was good. So go support your local movie theaters.